So welcome to my YouTube channel. That's what we call the good life. It's the month of August and all your hard work is finally going to be worth it. There's so many things to harvest at this month, but there's still lots of jobs you can be doing. So during this video, I'm going to be highlighting some of the things you can be harvesting and things you need to keep on top of so you continually get a good supply of certain vegetables. I'm also going to be talking about some of the jobs you can be doing to keep your plot tip top for the coming month. Now, so let's get started. Now, do keep an eye out for bugs and pests because they are still around. In particular, things like black fly. I've got a little bit on my beans, but all I've been doing is just rubbing it off if it seems quite bad, and nature has been taking care of it. But if it gets really bad, you might need to look at spraying it with something. But so far, so good with mine. It's not getting too bad. The other thing is flea beetle can be about this time of year, and also carrot fly, and of course the birds. I mean, to keep the birds off, I just net most things, and I use Enviromesh to keep the carrot fly off, and also the white cabbage butterfly off my cabbages as well. So do keep an eye that nothing is nibbling your veggies or your fruit. The other thing to be taken care of is also watering this time of year. Now, unless you've just sown something, I typically water twice a week for most things, unless it rains. Now, if it rains and it's outdoors, it's taken care of. If it's outside on my plot, I normally water twice a week maximum, like I say, unless I've just planted it. That's not the same if it's in pots. If it's in pots, they do need to be watered regularly, and sometimes 2 times a day if it's things like tomatoes in pots and they're not big enough. So do keep on top of watering. The last thing you want is to lose some of your lovely crops because you've not stayed on top of the watering. But the good news is you don't have to water every day for things that are in the ground, so that's a nice reassurance there. If you feel you're getting value watching this video, you can do with me something called Buy Me a Coffee, and there will be a link on the screen and one in the description. If all you can do is subscribe, like and comment, I would still be more than grateful. The other thing to keep on top of is supporting plants that need it. In particular, your tomatoes will need supporting and tying up, and things like aubergines and cucumbers. So do keep an eye on things that they are properly supported, because you don't want them flopping over and breaking. And also in particular with the tomatoes, you still need to be nipping out any side shoots, and if they're tall enough, taking the top off, and any completed trusses of fruits, you can remove the lower leaves so that it will ensure a really good crop. Weeding, of course, I know it's a really boring job and nobody wants to hear about it, and we will be moving on to the more glamorous things like harvesting in a minute, but we do need to be keeping on top of the weeding. Nobody enjoys it, but it's always really worthwhile and quite satisfying after you've weeded a patch to keep everything on track, because obviously you want your plants to do better than the weeds do. Now let's move on to the more exciting things of harvesting. There's copious amounts of things you can be harvesting this time of year, from carrots to beetroots to lettuces to spring onions. You know, there's apples, there's raspberries, there's blackberries, there's absolutely masses of things out there. I'm going to focus a little bit more on the things that you need to be constantly harvesting, or things that need to be harvested more urgently this month, just because obviously we don't want to lose any of our lovely crops because we've not harvested things at the right time. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is apples, and I see lots of posts of when apples are ready to be picked. So a really easy way to tell, and the way I tell, sometimes you see them being dropped on the ground, but they might be falling on the ground for a different reason. But obviously you want to catch them before they go on the ground, ideally. To tell whether an apple is ready to be harvested or not, it's really quite easy. I've taken a few off already. Now, the general rule of thumb is you shouldn't need to tug it. It should just come off really easily. And you want to take them off at that point as well, because if you get any gusts of wind, you're going to lose them and they're going to hit the ground, and you don't want that to happen. So if you try and move it and it doesn't want to come off easily, oh, that come off easily, they're ready to come off. So that's the thing. But if you're not, all these need to come off straight away, but if they're quite hard, see that one just lifted off. I didn't tug it, I didn't pull it, I just gently lifted it up and it came off really easily. Some of them on here, if I'm moving them, they're not moving very easily. So like this one here, that one there, it's not budging. You know, I'm not going to take that one off because I touch it and it stays attached. So easy way to tell, if they come off really easily, I start harvesting them. If they've dropped on the floor, like I've got a couple there, or they're marked, I just eat those first. So as soon as I get them home, the marked ones will go in the pot immediately, and the other ones I can store for a little bit longer. So let's move down to another crop to keep on top of. is things like berries and black currants. You know, once they're ripe, they need to come off immediately, otherwise they'll go over and they'll drop off, or the birds will eat them. Most of my raspberries I've picked actually, and my black currants are off already. But again, if you've not taken as soon as the raspberries are ripe, you take them off. The black currants are a very similar thing as well. So they're essential jobs. I get a lot of people asking when your onions are ready. Now mine are ready. If they flopped over, your onions are ready and you can lift them. So I'll be lifting these within the next week. If they've bolted, just to warn you, they won't flop over. So if you've got the odd one that's bolted, it won't flop over. So you just have to dig that one up anyway. But all the ones that didn't bolt, they've all flopped over. So I will be harvesting those in the next week. And I'll dry mine out in my greenhouse probably. It's up to you where you dry yours out, somewhere suitable. So if you're planning on going on holiday, and even if you're not, you need to be regularly harvesting your courgettes. So as you can see, I've got some harvested there. You can obviously harvest them a lot smaller. To be honest, I'm quite happy with that size. If I was going on holiday, which I will be soon, I'll be taking off all of them pretty much, because if you haven't got someone to look after your allotment for you, they're going to be too big by the time you get back. And what you don't want is for lots of big ones to form, really big ones, because then the plant will stop producing more. So regularly taking them off is something that you need to be doing. A similar thing with the beans. So I've harvested a load of beans there, and obviously these are slightly bigger ones, but I've got much smaller ones on the plant over there. And when I go on holiday, again, I'll be taking off quite small ones. I have got someone helping me out on my allotment, but they probably won't come up here or be as fastidious as I am. But if you've got nobody looking after your plot, or if they're only coming up here once and you're away for a good week like I am, take off even the small ones, so that obviously you don't want to come back. Same thing with the beans. If you don't harvest them off regularly, it won't keep producing them. So, and let's move down to another crop that I will be harvesting in a couple of days, because like I say, I'm just about to go away. I'm self-catering, so I'm going to be taking a load of vegetables with me. Is my broccoli, and obviously I see a lot of people not being sure when to harvest broccoli either. And although there's no hard and fast, and it will still taste quite nice even if you picked it a little bit earlier, you're looking for the nice big heads like that. So basically what it would look like in a supermarket. When it's not ready to pick, it's much closer to the bottom of the plant, if I can find one that's like that. Most of mine are really almost ready actually. So one like that is right down close to the base of the plant. As it grows up like a normal broccoli would, the actual stem starts to rise up. So that could probably go for a little bit longer, as could that one. But this one over here, as you can see, it's risen up quite a bit, so I'll definitely be taking that one off and the one off next to it. So there are a few things that if you're going on holiday, the last thing you want is to come back, because what will happen is these little heads will bloom. And if they've bloomed a little bit, you can still eat it, but if it had gone too far, it might taste a little bit bitter. So the other thing to keep on top of as well is also peas. If you've got any peas, regularly pick those as well. That's really, really important. And like I said, if you're going on holiday, if you can get a friend or a family member to help you out, just doing a little bit of watering and a little bit of picking, because they get free vegetables, that's really beneficial as well. So you're probably wondering what to do with all your crops. There are so many things you can do and so many recipes out there, and you can be preserving things and making new dishes. Something that I do quite often is I do dehydrate things. So I sometimes dehydrate my courgettes to make my own courgette crisps. I dry sometimes my fruits, so my berries, chilies, herbs, all sorts of things. I've got a really good dehydrator, and if you want to purchase the one that I've got, there will be a link up on the screen and one in the description for you to be able to do that. And just to let you know, I do earn a little bit of money out of that, just so you're aware. So moving on swiftly to things you can still be planting now, and the great news is if you've got space, there are still some amazing things you can be planting this time of year. You can be putting in some spuds in for Christmas. While I'd only put those in tubs because obviously they need to be kept frost free, you can be doing that. I myself have put in a little row of carrots. I planted out some lettuces the other day. There's a lot, like I said, I put some carrots out, some chard, so I've got a lovely lot of chard there, but I've started some more chard off, some Bright Lights chard. There is a full video on all the things you can sow and plant this month, so please do take a look at that video for the full SP on what you can plant and sow.